I'll assume we now have our audience. We've got a good audience, lots of familiar, wonderful names. So thank you everyone for coming, if that's the word, to this third online Molly Bloom reading. Frustrating though it may be that we can't mingle and chat as we might if this were a non-virtual gathering, there are more of you here that I'd love to go for an after reading pint with than would be possible even if we were all in the same place. There seems to be a widely held view that the world of poetry is a nasty, backbiting environment full of overweening egos. This has not generally been my experience since returning to the fray 15 years or so ago. I'm sure it's not the case in this gathering, and tonight's reading brings together not only three fabulous, though very different poets, but three people who demonstrate constantly that there is at least a part of the poetry world, I'd say the important part, that is warm, encouraging and mutually supportive. I should say four, not three, because Dorothy Lehane has brought her collaborator Elinor Cleghorn along to read with her, which is very nice, so welcome Elinor. Elinor's first book, Unwell Women, A History of Women's Health, subtitled Misdiagnosis and Myth in a Man-Made World, will be published in June next year, and I must say I'm looking forward to that. Dorothy herself was in almost at the beginning of Molly Bloom, making the first of her 3 appearances in the magazine so far. A fourth, I trust, is imminent, in the second online issue in September 2013. She was then a new name to me, but impressed me enough with her submission to be the first name on the team sheet. She has since published 4 slender volumes of her sometimes challenging but always rigorous and intelligent poetry. Places of Articulation from Dancing Girl Press, Ephemeris from 9 Arches, both in 2014, Umwelt from Leaf Press in 2016, and Bet Behandlung, self-described as a feminist revisioning of historical and medical treatments of hysterical female subjects and performative spaces of illness. That came out from Muscaliet in 2018. She's currently writing a memoir on the lived autoimmune experience titled Reactive, a memoir of an unknowable body. Dorothy is also co-editor with Elinor of the excellent Litmus, both magazine and press, which has a brief to explore the interaction between poetry and science. So here they are then to read a collaborative piece, which I think I'll pronounce properly, with sequelae. Over to you, Dorothy and Elinor.
Aidan.
Thank you, Aidan. Okay.
So yeah, I thought it would be more exciting to read with Elinor, mainly because it's nearly Christmas. So this is our poem. We've read it a few times in different spaces, and each time it's a slightly different version. So if you have heard it before, then you might take something new from it.
This is not pregnancy, or perhaps gout.
This is not quinsy.
This is not a pulmonary embolism.
But the films show nothing.
These high demand wrists.
Something's going on.
But we don't know what.
She denies any history of rashes.
A gravid uterus.
Or photosensitivity.
The baby is obviously at risk.
I have noted.
I'm reluctant to dive in.
With surgery.
I have noted some dramatic.
I have noted some dramatic responses.
Do not give these.
I told you not to give these.
Tablets to anyone else.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Oh, love, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. It scares me.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Don't worry. I've sewn you up nice and tight.
Can I touch your wife?
Stop observations in this now well lady.
On meconium observations, yes.
On hyperglycemia pathway, yes.
Knows how to deal with needle stick injuries.
Everything's swollen and my hips are swollen and I can't get my rings off.
Knows how to acquire the syringes.
10 days meconium obs.
And intravenous antibiotics.
Does meat get into your joints and swell them up from the inside?
Knows how to check equipment and drug.
We thought you were a goner for a while there.
You're not so emotional now.
You can stay.
Knows how to deal with spillages.
In the pit, in the dark, on the phone.
Please understand, the baby needs me.
The arterial blood test is not diagnostic in and of itself.
Sounds a bit like.
Sounds a bit like.
Sounds a bit like.
Gong bath.
Have you tried a gong bath under a full moon?
It's really transcendental.
Have you tried singing bowls?
Have you tried the Tibetan singing bowls?
Gong healing brings about the transition of cellular realignment.
Your heart is an electromagnetic organ,
which needs to vibrate.
In perfect resonance with the rhythms of the collective universe.
Have you tried aloe vera?
Have you tried garlic?
Have you tried boswellia?
Have you tried maca powder? It's a naturally occurring adaptogen, which means it adapts.
Have you tried cat's claw? It's from a tropical vine.
Can I touch your wife?
Can I touch your wife?
Can I touch your wife? Have you chewed on willow bark?
Turmeric root.
Thunder god vine.
I can hear a low hiss between beats.
Ultrasound showed slow heart rate.
And slow heart rhythm.
And have you thought about a baby moon?
Bring me the children.
Where are my children?
The syringe is out of sight, and vulnerable people and pets are out of sight.
Support the syringe with your preferred hand. Have you tried 20 minutes flotation tank?
Have you tried thought field therapy?
Constricted breathing techniques?
Are you agog with popular culture?
Are you agog with the divine feminine?
Are you agog with who's coming up the red carpet next?
What name shall we give your condition?
This is not Behçet's syndrome.
This is not Reiter's syndrome.
This is not Silk Root's disease.
Go check on the children.
Check on the children.
Carefully avoid vulgar and unmeaning slang.
Vulgarisms of the day.
There'll be misery when dancing.
And doing housework.
A smattering of information is better.
Did I tell you how he looked at me when he held me like I was numbers?
Can I touch your burger?
I touched your wife, now why can't I touch your burger?
I am growling.
I am growling medievally.
I am an obedient agent.
I have been dipped 7 times in the River Jordan.
All of my ticks and fleas have expired with nerve agents.
I have been given a skimpy prognosis.
I am under the rule of Saint Basil.
There is bacilli in the warp and woof.
There is bacilli in the linen and wool.
My garment is in deep grief.
There is bacilli in the leather.
I have burnt all my clothes.
I am full stream keening.
I am full stream gurning.
Wouldn't it be great if our mothers keened in sympathy?
I have been to Lourdes to try on a girdle.
And a corselet.
Do you need a chaperone?
I told you to bring a chaperone.
Does your chaperone need a burger?
Is your chaperone full of bacilli?
Have you been avoiding conversations?
Yes, the way pain is an event.
Yes, the way language is pain.
Yes, the way language is an event.
Yes, the way we pilgrimage for our pain.
Deeply dippy about our Spanish pain.
Act 1, we go on a pilgrimage.
Act 1, we go to Lourdes.
Act 1, we go with nice hair.
Act 2, Lourdes is the odour of sanctity.
Act 2, a good girl takes her espadrilles off before entering the spring.
Act 2, a good girl takes her dark eyes out before entering the grotto.
Act 2, the Virgin Mary appears to me 800 times.
Act 2, the Virgin Mary appears to me 8,000 times.
Act 3, her sleeves are long and tight.
Act 3, he sewed me up really nice and tight.
Act 3, he sewed me up with his butcher's twine.
Act 3, the meat gets in your joints and swells them up from the inside.
Act 3, nice eyebrows, but you are still going to hell.
Act 3, for this scene, I'll be your brother.
Act 4, you are my brother.
Act 4, tell me I'm the master.
Act 4, tell me I'm the one and only.
The problem with me is...
The problem with you is...
For this scene, I'll be your sister.
Act 5, you are my sister.
Act 5, tell me I can breastfeed fast and effective.
Act 5, you can.
Act 5, tell me I can pump milk 100 miles per hour.
Act 5, that's so pumpy.
The problem with me is,
The problem with you is,
I've got no.
I've got no burgers.
Act 6 for this scene, I'll be your mother.
Act 6, I am your mother.
Act 6, tell me you didn't breastfeed the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Act 6, tell me you didn't in the pulpit.
Act 6, that's so let down.
The problem with you is,
The problem with me is,
the problem with you is,
it might be a developmental phase.
it might be our molecular covenant.
I thought you said we wouldn't talk about it.
Who can give us permission to talk about this?
Act 7 for this scene, we'll be each other.
Act 7, we are each other.
Act 7, say we've got our baby, our ironic baby.
Say they got born.
Say they got born.
The problem with me is,
The problem with you is,
the problem with me is,
you're a shitty feminist.
you're a shitty feminist.
So we arrive at a small set of proteins.
To meet in the middle.
Act 8, we go to Lourdes with Bernadette.
Act 8, we go to wash our face in her sink.
Act 8, we go willingly.
Act 8, we go with trouble in the larynx.
Act 8, we go with trouble in the big toe.
Act 8, we go with trouble in the armpit.
Act 8, we go to try on the death's head.
And the coverlet.
I'm too sick.
I'm too sick to be your side chick.
I'm too sick for ecofuturism.
I'm too sick for this cage fight.
I'm too sick for your flock upholstery.
I'm too sick to read Kenneth Goldsmith.
I'm too sick to send you naked Gangnam videos.
I'm too sick to bring it to the runway.
Did I tell you how he looked at me when he thumbed my rash like I was...
Paper?
It's been 4 months since my last confession.
It's been so lonely without you.
I've been looping butcher's twine.
Winding it about in my fingers.
Passing it between us.
So it takes on other forms.
Have you tried rectal enlightenment?
Have you tried vaginal steaming?
Are you holding in ancestral trauma?
She denies any history.
She denies any history of ulcers.
She denies mercantilism.
Denies being bald but clean.
She denies listening to Shaka Khan.
I feel for you.
I think I love you.
I feel for you.
I think I love you.
I feel for you.
Doctor, doctor, when I lay with you.
Doctor, doctor, there's no place I'd rather be.
Doctor, doctor, would I lie to you?
Doctor, doctor, the things that you do to me.
I think I love you.
She denies listening to Sade.
You give me the...
You give me the...
You give me the punishment doll.
She denies listening to Bonnie Tyler.
Nothing I can say.
Nothing I can say.
Turn around. Let me see the back of your knees.
She denies listening to Whitney Houston.
Ooh, I wanna.
Ooh, I wanna.
Ooh, I wanna share my inflammation results with somebody.
She denies listening to Phil Collins.
Denies feeling it in the air tonight.
Denies waiting for this moment for all her life.
She denies listening to Cher.
Denies turning back time.
Denies being strong enough.
To live without you.
Make me live without you.
Falling ill is the most interesting thing that has happened to me.
Denies listening to the Bee Gees.
Denies shadow dancing on a Tuesday.
Denies wearing black lace underneath her clothes.
Denies freckles falling from her face.
Denies going to the type of party that leaves a birthmark.
Denies wearing green willow all around her hat.
Denies believing her heart will go on.
Denies listening to Christy Moore.
Denies riding the finest horse you'll ever see.
Denies trying to start a fire without a spark.
At the piano bar, we pretended to know the words.
Did we sing?
We sang operettas.
You mean Les Miserables?
I dreamed a dream in times gone by.
I dreamed that love would never die.
I dreamed of rotting vegetation.
On the way home, we saw the psychic.
Her daughter pulled us in.
Robed in velveteen, she dealt.
She dealt the half deck.
Behind the curtain, there were many children.
Name them.
She asked my name and called me pretty girl.
She read you.
She read me swords and pentacles.
She read you cups and wands.
She read me 2s, 5s, 7s.
You can't hold on to a man.
The man went by initials and mouth.
He's not real.
I crossed her palm with $60.
That's so tourist.
I crossed her palm, she pressed the button.
For $60 more, she'll clean your aura.
What with?
Her special brush.
Ooh, so helpful.
She said you have a niggle.
In your back, in your stomach.
Yes, and for $60 more, she'd stop the pain.
What with?
With quartz and jasper.
With tiger's eye.
Beneath the psychic tree.
You are becoming very new age.
You are my astral diagnosis.
You are too easily led.
You are tracing patterns in the moles and freckles.
You are finding rhythms in the popular songs.
Tell me again, how long were her nails?
For this, I'll need a volunteer.
I am your volunteer.
Say you'll be my gun for hire.
I am your gun for hire.
Say you'll dance with me.
In the dark.
Through it, through it.
This is a rough house choreography.
This is a partly improvised jig.
This is power moves.
This is powwow whistling.
Have you tried whistling?
Have you tried the whistling cure?
Have you tried humming?
Have you worn the humming mask?
Act 9, we go to the Hermitage.
Act 9, we go to draw dirt from the well.
Act 9, we smuggle the dirt in our slingbacks.
Act 9, we courier the dirt to the Bank of England.
I'm not going to the jailhouse.
How long would we get for smuggling dirt?
Would they wash us down?
Would they wash us in the right way?
Did I tell you how he plaited my hair like I was heathen?
Did I tell you how he dressed me in undyed cloth of humble quality?
He tried to cure us with his rural exodus.
He tried to cure us with his warp and weft.
If they cure us.
If they cure us.
If they cure us.
What will we talk about?
Watch the children for signs.
Be vigilant when watching.
And more on waking. What I should have said, by the way, at the beginning of that was, this is our experience of autoimmunity.
Absolutely fabulous. Just, yeah, I don't quite know what to say to follow that really, but it was hugely entertaining. Having not muted myself, I had to be very careful not to laugh too loud. Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Moving on. I mean, we have to follow that somehow. That aforementioned second online issue of Molly Bloom, in which Dorothy appeared, also featured some characteristically witty and engaging poems by Alasdair Paterson. Although I don't think I'd met Alasdair in person at that point, we do have a tenuous connection that goes back to the mid-1980s, when we were both published by Rick Cadell's Pig Press. In my case, a slim pamphlet, in his a slightly more substantial selected poems. Since then, taking a long sabbatical of around 20 years from poetry, Alasdair has produced a number of richly enjoyable books and pamphlets, including Elsewhere or Thereabouts from Shearsman in 2014, My Life as a Mad King from Oystercatcher in 2016, and Silent Years from Flarestack in 2017. I have no doubt at all that his next Shearsman collection, My Life, due out I think next year, will again smuggle some thought-provoking ideas and poignant reflection in with the wry amusement. One of the most reliably entertaining poets I know, Alasdair is also possibly the only person whose Wikipedia page features a link to Molly Bloom, which seems like a decent note on which to hand over to Alasdair.
Thank you, Aidan. Thank you. Well, I'm going to try and make my contribution as upbeat as possible in the circumstances, although a lack of good cheer might be breaking in from time to time. I've had lots of opportunity in the last year or two to think about truth, about fake news and conspiracy theories and different and jarring versions of the truth. And I've got a couple of pieces that I'm going to read tonight based on that. They were in, very appositely, the last issue of Molly Bloom. And they're from a sequence called True Say. And this is the first one. This is my truth, which is not your truth. but it is the truth. For your truth I have a respect which falls short of the utmost, only because your truth is not true. I believe you to be entirely sincere in your mistakenness, a searcher, a fellow pilgrim on the Camino de la Verdad, off to a sunny start and striding the undulations into the golden logic of the afternoon, which was where things got hazy and you drifted off track. So easily done. I can show you where. To arrive in failing light in a deserted plaza in the wrong obscure town, breasting a finishing line marked only in your head. Yet on another day, your truth might well have passed for true, at least for a short while, had the truth not been available for comparison, but luckily it is, and was, pure and smooth, a beautiful simplicity, and with the advantage of being the truth, which is also my truth. Besides mine, yours is, no offense intended, devalued by superfluity and contradiction, a tendency to gaudiness, and, look closely, those hairline cracks, flickered with a fingernail. Who ever heard of the clunk of truth? Look at yours, poor thing, next to mine, at those telltale cracks widening by the moment. It won't hold water. You do see that, don't you? Why don't you see that? I think I spent too much time in universities. And this one is rather something else Aidan and I have in common as an issue, an interest in Russia, historically and currently. So this is more currently, I would say. 2. This is my truth, which is not the truth, but it will be. If I keep in mind that my truth is not the truth, then the fact that I know the true facts is, in fact, what gives me my edge. Pushing my truth over the line of accepted truth and keeping it there is my lifetime's work, since the world I strive for depends on 24/7 vigilance against the insidious proliferations of the truth. Obviously, I need all the help I can get, and I can get a lot. For my truth is loved by whoever thinks it true, and whoever likes the direction of travel, even knowing well it is not the truth, but will have to be for all our sakes. My truth has a budget. My truth has human resources. My truth has occupational therapy with full inoculation package against the virus of the truth. My truth is currently recruiting influence wizards to spin that truth along the cybernet. My truth is now offering confession technicianships for backroom truth enforcement. There will be opportunities forthcoming for specialists in cultural exchange of fire and tourism toxicology as the business thrives. So we progress. To foster and grow my truth, I need of course to know the truth better than the truth itself. These are the files where I keep it marked for my eyes only. Unsurprisingly, the truth is getting larger. Soon the files will need their own anonymous building. One is already earmarked in innocuous streets, still within my easy reach. Meantime, I spend late nights sitting here with the truth, which never sleeps. I speak power to truth, which effortlessly says nothing back. This is all very wearing. Sometimes I think the truth is just biding its time. Moving on from the truth, a few years ago I wrote a pamphlet called Brumaire, which looked at the French Revolutionary calendar and the idea that they had not only of renaming all the months, but all the days too. somehow the days never caught on because no one could remember which of 365 named days they woke up in, like fig or woundwort or whatever it might have been, anvil. But when I went into lockdown, I started revisiting that calendar again, and I tried to write a few pieces based on the day that I found myself in, translated into 1789 or whenever it was current. And the ones I'll read tonight are from Floreal, which is about mid-April to mid-May. This one is called Rose. You know what? I've decided that any poem is ultimately its reader's creation. I'm hardly the first to think that for the poet, the contrivance lies in the prompts. If I just say, red umbrella in the rain, who else than you directs what kind of rain, what puddled pavements or parks, how many spokes, which of them bent, what handle? Did father, mother have such an umbrella, and what memories are opened? Did it get lost, stolen, turned inside out? What shade of red anyway? Too much work for just me there. So now I'm writing a series of one-liners. I started with a rose, poetic staple, for surely everyone has rose associations. These are our first 10. Dive in. My suggestion, maybe add our own. Could we make one big floral epic of them all? Of course, it still won't be as big as rose. 1. The rose between your teeth. Did you forget about the thorns? 2. Petals strewn and crushed on the best bed sheets. 3. Thanks to the climbing roses, my new hobby, old brick walls. 4. Before the anxiety of black spot, the anxiety of pruning. 5. The bead of blood on her knuckle with matching petals. 6. Rose-scented tails in the walled garden, bodies in the fields. 7. Essential rose oil should not be applied directly to the skin. 8. How sad and tender his daily round of deadheading. 9. The first day of Floreal, the day named Rose. 10. Ring-a-ring-a roses. And the next one is called Oak. I spent quite a lot of time in lockdown listening to music and going off on daydreams. Some very strange places I must have visited, and this is one of them. And this is called Oak, which is the second day of Floreal. I'm listening to a wash of Gregorian chant, and now in my mind, there's an oak avenue leading up to buildings that are austere, but with good acoustics. It was an elm avenue at first, but then I thought of disease and the elms I used to have, felled now. Oak is so much more soothing and reliable for these times. I've moved it into the position of first responder to the word immemorial. It was an Augustinian priory originally, but then I thought, what about quietude? So it's Cistercian now. To reiterate, I'm listening to Gregorian chant with a mental picture of a mature oak avenue leading to a place predisposed to silent observance and prayer, emitting this wash of song, white-robed singers, an overlay of peace. The chapel walls are white too. I almost overlooked the area where a dance of death, painted over, is coming through. Almost. Then for some reason, a pair of pangolins, launchpad suspects for the virus, scamper up the Oak Avenue. Why? Surely I specified Europe. It takes me a while to work it out. But of course, pangolins is an anagram of plain song. And last of these is Valerian, which is rather more wistful, since it deals with a bereavement. Valerian, 24th of Floreal. These night journeys are never completed. I always lack something, passport or luggage or tickets, and have to go back to collect them, knowing that meantime the plane will be gone. I can never quite believe my new incompetence as a world traveler. But then, when I come to think of it, I don't know where you are now. There have been no calls, no postcards. Would I need a passport to go there? What weather should I pack for? How could there ever have been a ticket? Morning. Welcome to another day in transit. The passport is in the drawer and the suitcase in the cupboard. The book is still half read and the bed is still too wide. The mug of Valerian tea is half empty or half full. I want to sleep at night, but I don't want these dreams anymore. Above it all, there goes the early flight to somewhere, still climbing. You mentioned, Aidan, that My Life as a Mad King, so I'll just read a couple of those. These are mutant villanelles. And the king, not in his perfect mind, still able to 19, considers his unraveling world in a sequence of somewhat ramshackle villanelles. Basically, with villanelles, first and third lines are repeated with variations. There's also a complicated rhyme scheme, but since he's mad, he doesn't bother with that, which was good news for me when I came to write them. This one mentions Shearsman, my publisher, and also Uncut, which is the monthly reading that I host in Exeter, Uncut Poets. It's in the shape of an envoy. Go, little poems, get some help, some watch mending, some stitch in time. No future jingle-jangling freestyle. An adept of the abacus would know how many beats make four. Go, little poems, get an audit. For tangled fleece, call the shearsman. Uncut hedge, fetch a ladder boy. No topiary, no style. Bedside manners lull you. Then bring up the hungry leeches. Go, little poems, get some treatment. A measured trip across the floor, light fantastic, quick, slow. No trophy is dancing doggy style. Go, little poems, get some lessons. Go, little poems, get a room. Go, little poems, get some help. No future jingle-jangling freestyle. And this one was written before Donald Trump. Hard to believe now. Villanelle the 15th. The planet spins me through the dark. My cosmos is blacker than yours. I never ask for signs of grace. I fought the wars of missing gods. My God is more absent than yours. The planet turns me to the dark. In the banned book library, my worms are better read than yours. I never looked for signs of grace. You worlds wear my livery. My germs are better armed than yours. The planet sneezes through the dark. My sins fill up a box a day. My soul floats lighter than yours. I never lack for signs of grace. My winding sheet stays under wraps. My shelf life is longer than yours. The planet spins me through the dark. I never ask for signs of grace. And these are going to be parceled up in my next book, which is a sort of mixture of poetry and prose poetry, called My Life, because they're all my life, as, with, from, against, or whatever. And although it's not being published till April or May, I've written some reviews for it already. So I'll finish by reading the reviews from a number of Scottish publications of My Life. And it's called My Life with the Critics. The Thurso Atom. My life. The stammering note sounded in the title is also too predictive of the overflow of eager inability to articulate found within. Mr. Paterson just needs a little kind assistance, a King's Speech treatment, as it were, for the flustered imagination, and all will flow more smoothly and, who knows, more impressively. Meantime, hands off the keyboard, Mr. P. The Ochterarder Intelligencer, Mrs. Heather Wishart and Mrs. Isabel Galt went shopping last Tuesday, the 8th, in Perth, where among the books they failed to buy was Andrew Paton's My Mile High Life. The scones in the Dunsinane tea room were judged awfully satisfactory. The Leith Literary Review. Read all about it. Fucking terrible collection. The West Lothian Presbyter. The smouldering heap throws off some sparks of native wit still, and one can only regret what great things might have been done had the author, at a vulnerable and unreflective age, not been seduced by the trans-border mirage of adventures with regularly replenished bank accounts, free thinking in humid boudoirs and gaudy acts of worship, happy hours, roads less travelled, regional cheeses, spinsters cycling a wee bit the worse for drink through misty meadows to evensong, to say nothing of those modishly alleged cellular urgings to widen the gene pool. The Borders Balladeer. Is it poetry? Is it prose? We asked around. Nobody knows. Lochgelly Leathercraft. Work so lacking the smack of firm control, be it editorial, be it authorial, surely needs for its own sake a firm but well-intentioned correction, with every hope of a straight, clean-limbed narrative ensuing. As readers of this organ will appreciate, a little sharp pain and short-term throbbing soon gives way to a bracing sense of virtue rebooted. Tiles and Butte, Somnambulist. Great stuff. Try to fit in a few pages in bed to increase your chances of a quiet night. Indeed, you may feel that the author has already done your sleepwalking for you. And finally, the Stornoway Puffin. Beware, Mr. Paterson. The Stornoway Puffin has its eye on you. Thanks very much.
Wonderful, Alasdair. I promised people entertainment, and I'm sure you've delivered there. I put in mind, but the self-reference in those reviews, I've sort of put in mind, dear Mr. Fisher. Thinking Roy of that ilk, of course. For those.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so pleased to have invited all the people I've invited tonight. It's great. Tonight's third and final reader should really need no introduction to an audience like this one. If Geraldine Monk was an actress, a singer, or any kind of TV performer, it would surely be commonplace by now to describe her as a national treasure. I hope you take that the right way, Geraldine. Since her first self-published pamphlet came out in 1974, there's been a long series of works from such publishers as Writers Forum, Galloping Dog, North and South, Westhouse Editions, Salt and Knives, Forks and Spoons. Good presses all, very fine presses all. Her most recent book, They Who Saw the Deep, I think that's the most recent, Geraldine, is that right?
Yeah.
which was published by Parlour Press in 2016, weaves emotionally gripping tales of the sea from the myths of ancient Mesopotamia to the contemporary tragedies of migrants and refugees, all held together on a frame provided by the shipping forecast. If there's been a better book of English poetry published in the last 10 years, I haven't come across it. I was surprised to realise when preparing this that Geraldine has been in Molly Bloom only once so far, hopefully very soon to be twice. Meanwhile, here she is in person. Geraldine.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh no, I don't like glowing introductions, but thank you very much anyway. I'm not going to read from that book anyway tonight. I'm going to read real decrepit.
Out and read it for themselves, which is
yeah, absolutely. It's still in print, so you can always go and get it. Now I'm going to read some, like I said, maybe seasonal things. At the moment, I can't read any new poems because I haven't been writing that many. I'm writing this interminable sort of rearranging loads of poems and writing this interminable bloody autobiographical thing of my childhood. And I was saying to Alan the other day that I'm not a prose writer, so I write every sentence as if it's a poem, and it's got to be so perfect. And I said, I don't think I'll finish this unless I live till I'm about 300 years old. So I'm just frittering away my time, but I'm enjoying it anyway. And I think that that's the main thing, no matter how tragic and dismal your poetry is, as long as you enjoy writing it, that's all that matters, really. The first poem I am going to read is one that you probably don't know. In fact, I'm sure you won't know it. And because it appeared in this absolutely splendid anthology called Traces. And Traces was an edition of Sheffield University's Route 57, which they bring out every year. It's ostensibly for the students, but more and more students are becoming postgraduates, and there's poets like me and Alan and Adam Piet and Aggie Lahosky, all connected with the university that contribute. And I think this year's has been exceptional. And it was one on, it's about the post-traumatic landscape, and landscape where things have happened and trauma has happened. It was in conjunction, unfortunately, it was in conjunction with an exhibition called Invisible Wounds, which was supposed to be, I think it was up for about, it was at the Graves Art Gallery in Sheffield. It was up for about 4 days, a week, before our little friend COVID came along and put an end to it. Anyway, my contribution to this, it's a really fabulous book, actually. I'm so honoured to be in it. I did one on the bear pit. Sheffield has got a bear pit, like a lot of big towns, and it's really the one here is in real perfect sort of preservation, and the choir I belong to, the anti-choir, we sang in it one day. And if you're in it for any length of time, you start really feeling how damp and oppressive this place is. And anyway, they weren't baiting the bears at the time, but they were pretending that they were being zoological exhibits. But I think there was quite a lot of missiles thrown at them nevertheless, because that's what people did to bears once over. Probably still people do, don't they? So it's the bear pit in the Botanical Gardens in Sheffield. I have growled where you prowled back in your sunless day. Brown bristles pelted stiff, circling your sunken rotunda. A bowl just big enough to hold the face of the moon. Baiting was banned in 1835. The next year, they built your pit with zoological bluff, a cramped, damp space for your imprisonment, simply to entertain maimed souls, watching maimed souls, watching maimed souls. We all pine for ancient forest streams teeming with watercress, boundless fish, all creatures great, plucking starlight from our eyes in the astronomical dawn. We are all of us alone together howling. When a little lad fell into the mow of the pit, no one can tell if his descent into hell was apocryphal. His mythical death rescued the bears. Their cell of hurt turned into a compost heap. And that's what it was for a long time. And now it's just a place where they put local choirs to keep us under control. That's the best place for our choir anyway. Okay, I do miss it. So as I said, I was going to do, it's going to be a kind of pretty much COVID-free and what's the other one? Bloody Brexit-free zone. And I thought I'd go seasonal. And so my favourite day is coming up soon, which is Christmas Eve. And on Christmas Eve, we sit down in the evening and pour ourselves some massive port and brandies, yes, in the same glass. If you've never tried it, do. With copious amounts of salted peanuts and things. And Alan reads me ghost stories. Aren't I the lucky one? And so I thought what I would do I thought I will sort of reciprocate, and it's my turn now, and I'm going to read from Ghost and Other Sonnets. Now, I just want to say a couple of things about this. And one is that someone once said to me, oh, well, they're all right, you know. Okay. Not everybody's as kind to me as Aidan is. They're okay, but their punchline isn't very good. You know, like I want there to be more of you on your punchline. And I said, but you know, they're not jokes, they're poems. And I thought, well, for anyone who's had, you see what these are. They're not ghost stories, and they're kind of just about the fragility and transience of existence. They're not really ghost things as such, only as much as I happen to think that reality is a little bit unstable and things keep popping up. And I think that anyone who's had any serious experience of unexplained or inexplicable, or if you want, supernatural experiences, or just things that you don't know what was all that about, they don't have punchlines. In fact, they're very odd. I've had quite a few, and they just sort of come out of nowhere and begin, and then they sort of end and go into nowhere, and that's it. You're left with it, and you think, well, that was a bit odd. I've never actually seen a ghost, but lots of things are very good at moving and things. And I thought, that's very odd. What happened there? How did that happen? And then that's it. That's it. There's nothing else you can do with it. It doesn't have a punchline, right? So I don't want to make that clear. It's just about the slipperiness of existence, and it's very strange, fragile, and almost duplicitous nature of existence. Can I say that? Can I say that without it sort of smashing all my plates tonight? When I go into the kitchen, it'll all be broken because I said something nasty about existence. The first one, anyway, is oh yes. The first one is really a very odd little thing. When I was a kid, I was brought up in this little room with a not much of a window. There's like a kind of skylighty window, bubble. I think it was an old bathroom, and there was a big boiler in the corner, and this boiler just when we had it on, it would talk and make animal noises, and sort of somewhat freaked me out as a kid, particularly as once God spoke to me from it. He said, "Geraldine," and I said, "He's God, yes." That was as far as we got in our dialogue. Okay, so my road to sainthood was somewhat curtailed. So thus spake someone from the water boiler, mannish, transonic, curdled arias mutate, polyphonic cockerel crows, necked hens, womanish, rhapsodic ones. Amid all this her name came, God again. Blankets screwed in little lobes, shall we, shy potted pea, shall we? Crammed cloth and other textiles, ear pearls, her bed a boat, dressing table floors, teeth lisp, frivolous liquid in sinister bottles, attic door opening, to see the moon, attic door opening, to see the moon stand on a chair. Green mines overhang gables, end terraces ramblings unchecked. Put your leg in bed. I don't know if they still have that expression, put your leg in bed, that we used to say as girls, which was to link arms, and you would proffer your arm and say to your friend, put your leg in bed. In case you didn't know that, that's what they said up north. I'd be interested to know if they still say it, or if anybody knows that. So now we're going off to, I don't know where the first 2.5 lines of this came from. Don't ask me, but I think it might have been my nephew when he was younger. But I'm now in the Isle of Man, the only place that is genuinely COVID-free. So my brother and all his family and nephews and etc. have all just been living normal lives. So at this moment, I hate them deeply, all of them. How dare they? Anyway, I wouldn't care if I could get onto the island, but you've got to live there to get there. It's very frustrating. Anyway, there's a very spooky hotel that used to be on the island. I think they pulled it down now because it was just so crazy. And this is just a little thing about going to this hotel. But it starts off with these 2.5 lines. I don't know. Reconfiguring spaghetti hoops. The child-weary child redefined joy. On the peninsula, a narked wind got up a torment of chuffs. Red legs and bills snapdragon. The Art Deco tower inclining towards Gothic was afire. Weird. Home hills twist a menace. Petrified eyes at every heart lurch of bend. Freewheeling crustaceans below sea level sang little mercies. Phantom crabs of the Isle of Man trill descant. Twist another face of debt pips spreading two-faced cards across a clothless table. keep my eye on the time because I want to finish with my Lucy's Day thing. So I must, if you'll give me a countdown, Aidan, when I've got 5 minutes to go. Have I got 5 minutes? Just go, you know, da, 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 and then I can get on.
I'm not counting, Geraldine. It's I'm leaving
Okay.
it to your discretion to know when it's time to.
Right, so I'll just carry on, and if I suddenly go black, I'll know that I'm not dead and you've just cut me off, right? Something like that, anyway.
Yeah.
Where am I now? Okay, straight into this self-explanatory piece of sort of ghosty, not ghosty. A distraught toe falters on the cast iron frog. This was my toe on my cast iron frog. Stop right there. Organic bruise spreads motley puce beyond the ankle, crushed ice on thin skin. Oh, wonder world. Your hungry moe perfects your oyster. Pearl perfect blotting the harsh edge, rose over bright blood, cruising keenness to the quick. Perverse inanimates ride high on exhaustion. Hidden mood rumors shoot reality. Speculation is rife. Life is a glorious loophole. So I'll read just one more of these, I think, and then I'll get on to which one shall I regale you with? I've either that one. Oh, this is another hotel. I love hotels. They're just wonderful, strange environments. You never quite know what you're going to get till you get there. And this is one that me and Alan stayed with. In actual fact, we were going to see his mother who passed away a few days ago. And it was actually probably the scariest hotel we've ever stayed in our entire life. One day I'll tell you the whole story, but I just need to crack on with this and just try and pick up. And Morecambe Bay is one of my favourite places on earth anyway. Partly because of its I think it's probably one of the most ghost-ridden places, certainly in the UK. It's just, you can't move from. You're just like banging into them everywhere, every corner, everywhere. A rare whiff. Aromas were way loud. Pervasive cabbage hexed with seaweed. Sixth sense on full alert. Real-time dread. Frisson lacking source. Lacks. Location of exit obscure. Fire a certain death doubles. Anxious feet running all night down unlit corridors. Fear bolted stonework, distressed dogs crushed with cage. Tidal boars out there ploughing 5 shifty gullies through the bay. Filed snakes, swift a silent coasting brood. Mussels, salt-ridden swerves behind your back, rising to the last mouth. Messages drown. One morning in Morecambe, breakfast chairs shrouded, room empty, rolling news, no eggs. In actual fact, there was no breakfast at all. We couldn't find anyone to give us breakfast. There was just an empty kitchen with a radio and a pile of dead chickens. No, really. I got out. We went next door and had breakfast with his mother, and I wouldn't go back in to collect my belongings. So I'm not going back ever in that place. They can have my dirty knickers. I'm not going back to retrieve them. Right, okay. So I'm just going to read now, finish off with This was a nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day, being the shortest day, which we all know was 2 days ago on the 13th, and which isn't really the shortest day. It's written by me and John Dunn. This is a thing that upset a lot of people at the time, because I put Geraldine Monk and John Dunn, and people said, "You can't do that." And I thought, what do you mean I can't do it? I've just done it, you know, what are you going to do? You know, do you want to come outside? It's like, you can't do that, they said, outraged at my cheek and audacity. I'm from Lancashire, I'm allowed to do what I want. Anyway, it was for, I know Sarah Cruel like that one. It was for Chris Good, and it was written on the 13th of December, 2004. And he ran a series, a wonderful poetry series in London at the Camden's People's Theatre. And this was his last one. So, and it was on this day. And I don't know if anybody knows Chris Good or where he is. I hope he's well wherever he is, because he was just a lovely, lovely person. I lost contact with him. And so this is a take on this. And also St. Lucy's Day, and it was for Chris, and yeah, as I say, it was 2004 it was written, so the Iraq War was dragging on somewhat by then, to say the least. So this end is your beginning. 'Tis the year's midnight, it is the day's Lucy's, whose scarce 7 hours herself unmasks. So place Iraq ever so gently into a state of pending. Wrap it fast in swaddling clothes, tie a tinsel tag around its sorry, and so it's sad, sorry, around its sorry. I can't say this. Shall I start again? I don't know why I've got a problem with that. Sorry. I'll start again. Sorry. Sorry. This is the word sorry I've got a problem with. 'Tis the year's midnight, it is the day's Lucy's, whose scarce 7 hours herself unmasks. So place Iraq ever so gently into a state of pending. Wrap it fast in swaddling clothes. Tie a tinsel tag around its sore and sorry toe. Let it go, for the world's whole sap is sunk. The general balm thy droptic earth has drunk, wither as to the bed's feet life is shrunk, dead and interred. Laugh at we their epitaph. Be spring thing, new alchemy express nothingness, emptiness, re-begot, not, I not, which I not, things which I not, you meter, he re-begot, not, again of absence, dearth, of things not, no things not. Lovers, be next, be dead and next. Every dead thing dull privations lean on, mean-boned beauty be bounty fling, ruined art expressed. A quintessence even from no things which I not, I not things, no thingness, no thingness. No rest to rest, rest to rest, to rest, rest, est. Lucy loves Lucifer. Dark King looks, hates Queen blind light. Fights light to death of life, which light will win the dish brimming with eyes. Before drawn out dawn, 4 candles play the vigil on the precipice of her. White, big frocked, red sashed saffron buns, abreast all the suns, yes, go the star boys, pointy hats erect. the lesser sun shines, goat run fetch new lust. The body must be here, body be must be here, be body must be, the body must be as shadow. If we an ordinary nothing were, an echo caught in looped light, prepare towards the year's days, deep midnight is. And with that, I wish you all a very happy Christmas, New Year, or whatever other festival you want to be happy, and I hope you all keep well. Good night.
Thank you, Geraldine. The original is great, and I'm sure he would like that, bringing it into the 21st century. Fantastic. Of course, the Lucy's Day was the shortest day when Donne wrote his Nocturne.
Yes.
Before we moved on from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the idea of poems as ghost stories or jokes without punchlines. There's a lot in that, I think. I also love the divergent worldviews we've heard expressed by all tonight's readers. So huge thanks to Dorothy, Elinor, Alasdair and Geraldine. I hope all virtually present have enjoyed all three readings as much as I have. Tremendous. And I hope, despite all the troubles and perils that are encircling us all, that all of you, all our readers and all our oddly muted audience, I'm sorry about that audience, it'd be lovely to hang out and chat with you properly, but I trust you'll understand why that's not possible. I hope you're all able to enjoy a good Christmas, if that's your thing, and look forward to a much better New Year. Thank you all very much indeed.